Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. One of Britain's greatest comedians ever. He started his career as Sunday night at the London Palladium in the 60s as the original host. Since then, he spent 50 years at the top of show business. And I'm delighted to say he's back in 2017. He's coming to Blackpool on the 29th of July. And you can see him live with Des O'Connor. Jimmy Tarbuck, how are you?
Good morning, Alex. How are you?
You know, I'm not bad, but I'm not as good as you. I was watching your Audience With the other night, and I really thought, why aren't you more spoken of as the greatest comedian in England? Because your timing, your punch, your warmth, you've mastered that art, haven't you? Congratulations.
Well, I mean, I've learned my business because I work with the greats. When I was a kid, I worked with Dickie Henderson and Frankie Vaughan and Harry Seacombe, Bruce Forsyth, Little Corbett, and you watch it's an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I got a hard time from the alternate comics in the 80s. They just had a pop because I was doing quiz shows as well. Now they're all on quiz shows, these fellas.
Yeah.
And so I sense a little bit of envy there. But I have no regrets about my career. I've enjoyed it immensely. And the fact that I can still do it pleases me, and I can still do it at a certain standard. If I thought I wasn't doing it anymore, and I've discussed this with Des, and we did about 8 concerts last year. We're going to do 10 this year, and it's lovely to work with a pro.
Yeah.
And you work, and it rubs off. We bounce off each other, and it's great, great fun.
I was watching.
I think the greatest comic the country's ever had in a theatre has to be Ken Dodd.
Yeah.
He just has to be for laughs per minute, or with Doddy per hour, or per day, or per week. He does stay on there, but he's the best I've seen on the stage.
I was very honoured to be asked to go to Buckingham Palace with him last week to collect the knighthood, and there he was.
Isn't that lovely for him?
Yeah, 89 years old, and he lost 30 years. It's got the same thing you've got. You stand on a stage and something happens. It's as if you're sort of taken over by something else. I mean, he is old, and standing on stage for 5 hours isn't easy, but when he's doing it, he looks about 50. It's remarkable.
I used to get that when I worked with Arthur Askey.
Right.
There'd be a little old man in the wings waiting to come on, and then this 30-year-old would come on.
Incredible.
It's a bit like Bruce. For 50 years, Bruce Forsyth has been 35 to everybody.
Yes.
The lights and the adrenaline, it all happens when you walk on there.
I was thinking about you in researching this interview. I mean, you did have the heyday of show business. I was watching a show last week. I won't name him, but there he was live on TV, looking as bored as he possibly could be, deliberately not trying to look like he was enjoying himself. And I think the one thing that I've seen in your performance is you look like you're enjoying it more than we are, which is infectious. That's important, isn't it?
Well, I have a ball on there.
Yeah.
It's a nice way, and I don't care whether you do what you do, you know. You interview people, you play the records and tell them everything what's happening. If you don't enjoy doing that, or you don't enjoy driving a bus, or whatever it is you do in big business, your work will come out shoddy.
Yeah.
But I love going to theatre, and I love getting up there. I don't know a great deal about drugs because I've never been involved with them. But laughter is a drug, I promise you. I've spoke to Ken about this, you know, and he says he doesn't know he stays on there that long, but it's the drug of laughter.
Mm.
And he has it in aces, he does, I mean, as you know.
Have you worked out why you've survived, Bruce has survived, Des survived, Ken's still doing it, and others haven't? What did you do differently?
I don't know. I mean, if I did know, I'd bottle it and sell it.
Yeah.
I had a great tip from another just absolute comedic genius. Eric Morecambe said to me when I was a kid, "You've got something, young man. Don't look for it."
Right.
And I never have. I don't. I'm not one of these analysts of humour. I find people either funny or they're not. I mean, Billy Connolly walks on for me, and I just start laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the greatest piece of original material I've ever seen. It was the guy going into the discotheque, and he's incontinent, with the incontinent trousers underneath his own trousers. Well, I had my son with me that night, and the two of us, the age gap, we were crying with laughter. And he always says, "You liked that one, Darby, didn't you?" I said, "I absolutely loved it." It was a glorious piece of, as I said, new material that he'd worked on, and dear God, it was funny.
Yeah. You just reminded me of an old Bob Monkhouse gag. Do you remember the one where he said, "My granddad was lucky"? Well, he was lucky and unlucky. He was an incontinence trapeze artist. I suppose his audience weren't that lucky when you think about it. Just...
Oh, yes, that's a great gag. Yes, we've got an incontinent trapeze artist coming on. Did you bring raincoats? And, of course, the player, you'll be all right on the front row, because it's about 4 rows back are going to cop it. Oh, yes, I mean, lovely gag. He prepared more than any other comedian I know. Right. His preparation was wonderful.
And so professional. I mean, you made that choice as well. If you don't mind me saying, you're in the league of dapper comedians. Some choose to come on stage looking a little unkempt, some don't. You always had a nice suit, a bit like Bob, didn't you? Was that intentional, or did that just happen by accident?
Well, totally intentional, because of my hero, who was Bob Hope.
Right.
And he just said to me, and you know, it's lovely working with these people, he just said, "Give them 2 minutes to look at the suit."
Right.
Isn't that a great line?
Wow, yeah.
And, well, I don't think, look, the people have paid a lot of money now to come to the theatre. I don't think they want to see you walk on in a boiler suit.
No, or jeans.
Like a bag of rags. No, I think you owe it to them to look smart.
Yeah.
Des, Dickie Henderson, Frankie Vaughan, these people, Bruce Forsyth, you regard as stars. The only one who doesn't is Doddy.
Yeah.
Who comes on in fur coats and all sorts, but has you chortling.
Yeah.
You know.
He also portrays himself as a clown, doesn't he? He sort of researches the psychology of it and sees himself as a jester more than a sort of front of cloth comedian.
That he's the court jester.
Yeah, interesting.
And by God, he is.
Yeah.
And his ideas. But you see, he served an apprenticeship again. And he worked with the greats. He might have worked with the great. These names might mean things to you. Jimmy James. You watched how he did it.
Yeah.
You know, you think, "Oh, Christ, he's a good comic." And, well, Frank Randall, and go back, George Formby, all those who all had a certain thing about them that you can't buy. It only comes with experience. Yeah. And the greatest of them all from that era was a man called Max Miller.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful comedian. But he wore all the loud clothes that Doddy wears sometimes. Yes. And he had more cheek than Doddy. Although Doddy's saucy and cheeky, Max Miller was brilliant at it.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to see those greats. You know, there's a few young ones now coming on. Peter Kay is a funny boy.
Yeah.
Lovely face and timing. A bit of Les Dawson in there, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, you look. And there's comedy's in safe hands. You know, I don't think you should have them blind all the time. The bad language doesn't bother me. Right. But I mean, all the time, there is sometimes swearing can enhance a joke. But to do it, I was going down the effing street, effing this, effing that. You go, hang on a minute, I don't want to hear that. Don't shock me, make me laugh. Yeah,
and also, if your F is getting a bigger laugh than your punchlines, maybe there's something wrong in the writing too.
Well, you've got it in one. I don't think as far as I know, and I've known him since I was on the club, so I've known him 60 years. I don't think I've ever heard Dodd swear on the stage.
No, not at all.
Not once.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you look back at the people you've worked with. I suppose we should nod our hats to those we've lost. Is it tough for you when you pick up the paper on a Monday morning or the phone rings and we hear that we've lost another legend? Last year was so terrible. Victoria Wood being... Yeah, and of course your friend Ronnie Corbett, who I was lucky enough to interview. I mean, Ronnie was another great in your league. It must be distressing.
Well, it is. I mean, right now they're planning his memorial at Westminster Abbey. Yeah. And you can't believe that he's not going to be there himself. No. He'll be there in spirit, but yes, he died from it. He wasn't well with a thing, I think it's called motor neuron disease, right. Which, you know, just did for him, which was awful.
Yeah.
He was class. The little fella, he was class.
So funny.
Oh, lovely, not half.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously all the whole country, your mother, your Auntie Annie, and everyone will think of Four Candles.
Yes.
But his part in that was wonderful, his acting in it.
Yeah.
Are you having a go at me, mate? And of course, I love the Mastermind sketch, answering with the second question. That was hilarious. They were a great combination. You see, you got one comedian there,
Yeah.
Ronnie Corbett, but you had a great comedy actor in Barker.
Yeah. Incredible. And we've got to mention Bruce. You mentioned him earlier. Is he okay? How's he doing? A good mate of yours.
I was at school when he first came on the telly.
Wow.
I was finishing school. I never dreamt I'd be working with him, or in fact taking over from him on the Palladium, which was wonderful heady days for you. I was 24, and they were heady days to find yourself working with Rudolf Nureyev and George Raff, the film star, great opera singers. You suddenly went, dear God. I went up to Nureyev. I said, excuse me, Mr. Nureyev, I don't know a lot about ballet. He said, neither do I. And I just thought, what a nice fella saying that.
Wow.
He said, introduce me in your own way, young man. He was lovely. And he danced with a delightful lady, Dame Antoinette Sibley. And of course, they did something from Swan Lake that, people all over the country could appreciate just how good they were.
Yeah, incredible.
Like Garland, just watching how she went about things. And when I worked with her, she was a little sparrow. There was nothing of her.
Right.
But once again, what we were saying, she got on the stage, the lights hit her, and she went into The Man Who Got Away, then Swanee, and of course Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, inspiring. Really
inspiring.
Is Bruce doing okay? I read last week he'd come out of hospital.
Yeah, he's getting there. Yeah. He had a fall, and he's of an age when a fall doesn't do you any good at any age. No. But at his age, it just took a bit out of it. But he's good. We went round to see him, and when Ella made some sandwiches and some nice pot of tea, and we just reminisced and blethered and laughed. Yeah. And it was good to see him. And we all wish him well. As I said, for 50 years, everyone's thought Bruce Forsyth was 35 years of age. Yeah. I think he's 80, whatever, it doesn't matter.
89, yeah, I think so.
89 or something like that.
Yeah, incredible.
A wonderful career.
I don't think there's any way of describing the impact of being on TV, especially in the 60s, because it was so new and it was so big and so fun. I guess 64, 65 was your biggest year on TV because it just opened you up to a national audience on some of the biggest shows in history.
Well, that was my first series year, was 64. I did the first Palladium in 63, and it was... you got to remember, there was no choice in those days. You didn't have, today you can sit in your house and watch 100 television stations. Yeah. You couldn't in those days. There was BBC, I think BBC Two, and ITV. That was your choice. Yeah. And that's why things like Sunday Night at the Palladium, in Bruce's heyday, got 20-odd million viewers. Mm-hmm. And you get 6 million. Now you got a hit show.
That's right. You always seem to walk on that stage with such confidence when we look back now, especially at those Her Majesty's videos that are still around from time to time. Were you like the swan that was panicking underneath, or have you always had incredible inner confidence and strength?
It was a mirage.
Was it?
Yeah, I was very nervous because I was doing all new gags, whatever it was. Mrs. Thatcher said to Gorbachev or whoever it was, you had to get the words right. And the one thing I used to do was saying, take your time. And that's why if you see any of those, I've got a couple of them that I look at, I always come on and go, good evening. And that gets your first breath out. Yeah. We got a show for you tonight. Yeah. And there's the great line you hear that we've got an incontinent trapeze arm. Well, let's just start laughing right away or something like that. We've got a man coming on to juggle with 4 ton of soot. All stupid bloody lines like that. And then you get into the, Farage said to Nicola Sturgeon or whatever it would be today. Yeah.
Do you wish you could be back doing prime time? I mean, we look at this nightly show that ITV are trying to do the David Letterman stuff and seemingly failing at it. Would you like to do something like that, or don't you care anymore?
Well, it's not a case of not caring. It's a case of, could I do it to the standards I've set myself?
Right.
I hate to go on there and people say, hey, you should have seen him when he was a boy. He was good. I would hate that, and Pauline and the children know that. They would tell me if I couldn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it immensely. I don't enjoy the travelling because I can't think anybody anywhere. Where am I talking to you now? Where are you exactly?
Yeah, I'm in Nottingham, so we've got the M6, the
Nottingham,
M1.
for example, if you say, come up to Nottingham, I wouldn't know how long it was going to take me driving a car.
No. And especially getting home, because they seem to now send you off motorways via Swindon and Portsmouth, and then back up another one.
You end up in Carlisle thinking, this is wrong somehow. I've took the wrong turning. Not that there's anything wrong with Carlisle, it's delightful, but I'm just thinking, I should be down in Surrey.
Yes, you should be passing Luton now.
Yeah, I mean, all those things.
Yeah, travelling is the snag. Do you worry about age? I mean, does it bother you? I mean, you've said that obviously you've got those around you who are keeping an eye on it, but is it frustrating? How do you see age, or is it just great now to have survived the business?
I don't think there's any fun in getting old because you ache.
Right.
Tom Jones sings a wonderful song. My hair is up, my hair is grey. I'm aching in places where I used to play. And it's,
Yeah.
I look at him as an example. What about Jonesy?
Yeah, amazing.
He is singing. I went to see him last year at Hampton Court. Well, I went 2 nights.
Wow.
He said, you're back? I said, I wanted to see if my mind was playing tricks. He was singing as strong as ever.
Yeah.
And if he's on anywhere, go and see him. The voice is still there.
I was lucky enough to see him in that little showroom at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. And as you say, I mean, he's still got it. He proves you can be sexy at...
it doesn't leave you. Talent in class will out.
Yeah. Just makes me feel inadequate, though. I'm half his age and getting half the looks from the ladies. It's not good for a man, Jimmy. You know what I mean? It can make you feel insecure. You don't want that.
You're a rascal, they all tell me.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, you had a big crush with Hattie Jakes. Hilda Baker. You liked all the good lookers, you rascal.
They're the ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning of your career is interesting because, I mean, you did proper jobs, but of course then the old Butlins in Brighton came in. Did doing a proper job make you realise life's not that fun, it's better to be sort of in show business? How did you make it to Butlins?
I enjoyed most jobs I did, from putting up television aerials to installing televisions to doing ladies' hair. I used to go to factories that had good football teams. And I'd always get in the team, and I enjoyed. That was part of my week. The work was it was playing for the team, on a Saturday up in Liverpool, and then I'd play for a pub team on a Sunday, and they were wonderful times. So I love sport in general, and I love the company of sportsmen. I'm totally at home with them.
Golf has defined your life of late because.
It changed it. It changed my life. And that was because of Bob Hope and Bing Crosby.
Wow.
I watched them playing golf, and then, of course, in English terms, then Dickie Henderson and Bruce.
Yeah.
They took me out to play golf, and I thought, this will do me, out in the fresh air.
Some people say it's an excuse for a bit of peace and quiet when the kids are growing up and all that. Is there any truth in that, or is it just about the unity of men?
Of course it is. Yes, that would be part, but only part of it.
Right.
If you're competitive, which I promise all the people I've named, Ronnie Corbett, Bruce Forsyth, Des O'Connor, Monkhouse, Dodd, they're all competitive people.
Oh, yeah.
Let me assure you of that.
Yeah.
So when you can get your competition out playing sport, it's even better.
I hear Bruce takes it very seriously. He can get quite grumpy if it doesn't go his way.
Oh, God, blimey, he was an old moaner on the golf course. Sure. And time you'd say, for God's sake, hit the ball. Little Ronnie wasn't as good a player as some, but Keane, because his dad was a golfer, Mr. Corbett, and his brother Alan was a scratch player, was a real good player up there in Scotland.
Yeah, fantastic. And the stories and the laughs, I guess that's the key as well afterwards.
I mean, the joys and the laughter we've had at it.
Yeah, incredible.
I mean, seeing Sean Connery throw a wedge into a lake, and he said to the caddy, go and fetch that, son. And he said, go and fetch it yourself, while we all went on the floor. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful laughter and memories.
One of the things I love about you live is your ability to ad-lib, even if they've been ad-libbed before. One of my favourite stories is the lady who was coming up during Panto, I think it was, to congratulate you, and she broke wind. I mean, these stories, all be them maybe a little bit more elaborate than they happened at the time. People love that, don't they? If you can retell a great story.
I just looked in amazement.
Yeah.
I thought, dear God, not that we don't all do it, we do. The bodily functions do make people laugh, yes. I'm afraid. I'm sorry.
Why is that?
Well, who knows? Because excuse me. I mean, I remember a dear lady who I loved called Audrey Jeans. She was the queen in a pantomime, and she'd had a curry the night before. Yeah. And she said, I was Jack in Jack and the Beanstalk. She said, I'd like a word with you, Jack. And I said, did you have a nice curry last night, Your Majesty? She went, oh, my God. And she went off the stage to get some, I don't know, mouthwash or spray. Oh, I do apologize. I said, oh, shut up. The audience were roaring,
I never got to see you in pantomime. That's one thing I would have loved. I mean, they've come back into fashion. Did you see the Palladium one this year?
I believe it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was outrageous and it was a bit mucky, but it was bloody brilliant.
Yeah,
really wonderful. That. Yeah.
I mean, and if they do one for 5 weeks like that was,
yeah.
I mean, I did one at the Palladium.
Did you?
And it was on for, let me get it right now, I opened it at the end of November, and I came off towards Easter.
Wow.
I didn't know what day it was.
No.
I got pantomimitis.
Yeah.
Selling the cow twice a day and 3 times on a Saturday. He sold the cow. I turned round to this cast one night and I went, yes, I've stole a bloody cow. All right, well, they all fell on the floor. And, we used to have a lot of fun doing it.
Is there any other venue that matches the Palladium in England? I mean, there's something special, isn't there?
Before you go any further, no.
Okay.
In the world, I'm telling you that.
Right.
Never mind Vegas, never mind the Sydney Opera House and that. It's the Palladium. And you walk on there and they have all been on there.
Yeah.
Just the top of my head, Sinatra, the Beatles, Bassey, Jones, Bob Hope, Crosby, and just keep going, Nureyev, Sir Laurence Olivier. They have all been on that stage. Morecambe and Wise. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Because they all wanted to say, I've played the Palladium.
Yeah.
It has an atmosphere that is totally its own.
Yeah. And the venue does matter, doesn't it? It can change the mood.
Walking on there.
Yeah.
I think this is the greatest place I've ever... Well, I owe so much to it. It changed my life. The theatre totally changed my life, and I just love being on there.
When you walk on now, as we conclude the interview in 2017, walking on a stage today, is it still as thrilling? Is it still as fearful? Because they've still got to love you, and by the end of it, you're still going to want a round of applause. That's the pressure, isn't it?
I can't tell you. It's a joy.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I know that. And they've been so good to me for 50-odd years that I do thank them. Why? I do not know, being honest with you. I don't know why. And I don't go looking for it. I just go on and try.
Yeah.
And have a laugh with them. And I love it.
And then we look at your family. I guess that's your greatest legacy. Pauline's been there by your side through it all, thick and thin. Do you think that's what's kept your feet on the ground too, is that you've had a good family? Because so many people lose the plot. We seem to be burying so many who don't seem to make it emotionally or mentally. The business is tough, isn't it?
Well, although I've got a daughter who's very, very successful, And in fact, both my daughters are, and my son. Well, we've never been a show business family. They've been brought up, the children, and Pauline, of course, seeing Ronnie Corbett walk through the door, seeing Tom Jones sat down having a bacon sandwich, and all that. And they don't take it for granted, but in many cases it was like Uncle Ronnie.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Tom walking and going, hello, James, how are you, Tom? I like going, oh, hi, Tom. How are you, know? That part of it's been lovely. They've seen these legends.
Mm. I think one of the biggest tributes I saw about Terry Wogan, who I adored professionally and also on air and off as a family man, he said that he didn't have any showbiz pictures anywhere around the house because they were all family photos. That's what mattered. And isn't that fascinating?
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah,
but he was a great guy as well.
Yeah, another pro.
You know, they talk about, well, what's the word they use, you people, national treasures.
Yeah.
Well, you can name them. Wogan, Corbett. You just go, hey, there we go. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, the most love I've ever seen for a performer that I was working with regularly was for Harry Seacombe.
Yeah, wonderful.
He used to walk onto a wave of love.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I saw his daughter, Katie. She was in Les Miserables playing Madame Thenardier.
Oh, great.
She's got spirit as well. You can tell she's got funny bones.
Well, he always said she was an afterthought that all started with the kiss of life. That was Harry's gag about her.
And we talk about the one-name legends in Britain. The one that we haven't spoken about, of course, is Scylla, that we've lost since we last spoke. I'm sorry to keep bringing up these names, but another lady who championed the cause of Liverpool.
Oh, come on, yes.
That one must have taken you by surprise.
A lot of people died too young, but she certainly did.
Yeah, that must have taken you by surprise because none of us were expecting.
I mean, it was just... I was very impressed at her funeral. Cliff flew up. Tom Jones flew in from Bavaria up to Liverpool to be there for her funeral.
Yeah.
And, you know, what you saw with her was what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, that was her.
And if the public love you, they love you.
Yeah, they love you.
Yeah. And you mentioned Cliff the last time we spoke. We were getting upset about him. Seems like things have calmed down and people have got their heads, and thank God for that.
You talk about Cliff Richard, a national treasure, lovely lad. Just look at the records he's sold. Just look at the work he's done.
Yeah, the joy he's brought.
You just say, yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and the joy. And I hope you know that about yourself too, the joy you brought us over the years, those laughs, that sincere roar of laughter that you seem to do so effortlessly. We thank you for that.
That's very nice of you to say so, and I do appreciate that.
It's always my pleasure to talk to you. I'm going to come and see you on the 29th of July in Blackpool at the Winter Gardens, a beautifully huge stage.
Say hello, young man.
I will do. I can't wait. And there you'll be.
The Opera House we're at.
Yeah, just stunning. Those Winter Gardens. I mean, again, they've still got that big theatre community there.
Oh, no, that'll be a joy to walk on there.
Yeah.
With Desdemona and I, we will have a bit of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Des O'Connor and Jimmy Tarbuck live, 29th of July, 2017 at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for your time, Jimmy. I really appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine, and remember the old saying.
Go on.
No, I forgot it. You remember it. Thank you. Ta-ra.